Hey everyone, One Spittin' here. So this is a new series of videos I want to start making. I don't necessarily foresee me making these very frequently, but every now and then I run across a player that with some models that I find just particularly beautiful, and I think it's a part of the hobby that's always spoken to me, kind of the aesthetic of it, part of the immersion in the Tolkien fantasy world or the Tolkien-esque Warhammer world. This particular local player's name is Gabe Thorn. He has a website, gabeofthorns.com. That whenever we have a large tournament that has a single model painting contest, I believe he's won it 100% of the time. He's a 3-time Golden Demon winner. His work is absolutely stunning, and I've seen it in person, and it just blows me away. My hope is to use stuff like this when and looking at his models and see if there's little things I can start doing differently to improve my painting. So I am showcasing some of his work here. I went to his house. I was about to say with permission. I went to his house with permission. I didn't sneak in. Anyway, we set up. He has like a little area set up to be able to take pictures, and so I did. I took about 100 pictures and wanted to show them to you. This is a tribute to a true hobbyist. So starting off with Papa Nurgle, I think one thing I've noticed what he likes to do is to get big centerpiece models for his armies. I think every army I've seen of his has some big centerpiece model, and this one certainly qualifies. I've seen this model before. It certainly is designed in such a way that you can do a lot with it. I think what he did was just beautiful. Yeah, I mean, even just with the rot, where it's not just one color, it's not just from one color to a lighter shade, but he has got kind of that yellowish brown on the boils with the green. I mean, just beautiful, stunning stuff. And yeah, I'm going to go up actually. And with the rust and the sword, just everything about this I think is just breathtaking. If I'm going to play against a great and clean one and it's painted this beautifully, I don't think I care if I lose. He deserved the win. Very, very nice. This is another model I've seen before. It's just a large, beautiful, giant. Now, one thing that I think is kind of a mantra among Warhammer players is that if you use some stark contrasts in your color scheme, it really makes models pop. But when I see a model like this, I'm like, you know what? He didn't really use colors that contrasted greatly to make them pop. They're actually kind of subdued colors, and it really works on this guy. From the flesh color to just the browns, everything's kind of, it seems like between tan and brown, with very few exceptions, and relatively muted, and it just really comes across lifelike and beautiful. Now, when I see people who do work like this, just freehand tattoo work, I'm thinking, well, that's not anything I could ever do. It's not in my skill set. What I appreciate though is not only did he do it, but then he went back over it and I assume he kind of dry brushed the flesh color over the tattoo to make it look kind of sun bleached. And once he told me about making sure that it didn't look like a brand new tattoo, I'm like, yeah, that's very realistic, very lifelike. That's as someone who has some large tattoos and am around people with tattoos, thinking, yeah, that is how they look 5-10 years down the road. Absolutely awesome. And okay, so now we do get a little more color contrast, and I think this is just absolutely stunning. Again, another big centerpiece model, and I'll show you in a little bit how he uses these centerpiece models with other, with the rest of the army. Yeah, I just find it breathtaking. Even little things, like a lot of times if you look at what he does on the base, he really makes sure that contributes to it. He doesn't just rely on the model itself. Even the bit of blue down there kind of contrasts with the greens and reds elsewhere on the dragon. But again, I mean, just amazing. I think I didn't notice that. Is that an egg underneath the root of that tree? Yeah, big. And this thing is huge, absolutely huge. I don't even want to know how much he has spent on these models, but the work he's put into them. Yeah, definitely eye candy for me. So he has a wood elf army. And this guy, I'm hoping he leaves a comment on this video about how he did this, but he said something about the worst thing about this model was attaching every single leaf. I think he kind of did that himself. Stunning. Absolutely. I mean, well, I don't have to describe to you what you can see. I like again how he on the base he's paid a lot of attention to making sure the base contributes to the overall effect. And I assume this is Orion or something, Wood Elf guy. His, I assume, is more like a BSB in that Wood Elf army. Again, look at that base. Look at all the leaves and stuff coming off that banner. Truly stunning work. Yeah, and here's the other side. I was going to do this video, by the way, with just music in the background, but when I looked at the free music I could use from YouTube, it just none of the songs matched. Just some of them sounded so funny. So I apologize for having to listen to my voice over this. So another character model in his Wood Elf army. I assume Wood Elf, although I think this easily could be High Elf as well. But again, a very detailed, beautiful base. Again, I better go up. It doesn't look like he was going for color contrast. Very subtle transitions between colors, and nevertheless made that work. So this looks like right. I don't know the name of this model. I assume it's a Demons of Chaos. Although I think you could argue for it being some kind of Wood Elf thingy as well, just because of the look of it. And forgive my ignorance if you know these models. I don't. I just don't know all of them. So. Yeah, again, look at the detail. There's a guy at the bottom of the model. Just look. Oh wow! And again, this is the base. The base is actually contributing to the overall model instead of just being an afterthought. And again, not really going for huge color contrast here. You can see there's some color contrast with the red on that that one appendage, but a lot of times it's just subtle transitions. Yeah. This thing, oh my, yeah, I do want to learn how to do that green look on the face where it looks, you know, kind of like a very slight moss. This is another big, huge model with a lot of detail put into it. I like the subtle green on the head and then the subtle reds elsewhere in the body, so it's not all the same thing over and over again. And I also like how the Empire guy with the blues and yellow is providing that contrast, where the model itself can be subtle, but there's still contrast to the overall model. So big tree dude. You notice how the guys being killed in these models are always Empire guys. I've noticed that with a lot of things. This is, yeah, another one. This looks like the new kind they just put out. I forgive my ignorance if this is an older model, but it reminds me of the new Wood Elf models that were put out recently. This one's absolutely stunning. Look at that. So then you can kind of see how all those things work together. Now, I doubt you'd have an army with the dragon and all those big creatures on the back line and stuff, but you can see how they just kind of all fit together for an overall look. You can also tell that for his rank and file guys, he puts just as much love and attention into those as he does in the big models. I'm just pausing here, so if you can always pause your video and watch it as well. But just even these guys in the front row, I look at that and I'm thinking, you know, the difference in, I don't know. My guys do not look nearly that good, but I look at that as at least something that I might be able to aspire to given some dedicated practice. Unlike some of his work that I think now I could never even aspire to that. Detail in these riders here. Good stuff. Beautiful stuff. Some old, I assume, proxies for Treekin. And then Warhawk riders. And then yet another centerpiece model. This one I think is much more of as a high elf look. Well, I'm certain of it. This is a high elf lord on dragon. Now this is something that I never seem to do. Good painters do it very often, and I never seem to do it. But look, you know how the colors transition. Like he'll have kind of reddish, and then it goes to more of a white, and then kind of a brown on the wings, and you just see that subtle transition between areas. And my tendency is to say, okay, well, if it's this kind of this skin, I'm going to paint it one color and then highlight it this, and it's the same thing over the whole model, which isn't very realistic. And again, when you look at really good painters, they never seem to do that. They flow different colors into each other. Again, big, beautiful base, uh, nice attention to detail, and then just, yeah. Oh my gosh. That's beautiful. Yeah, I don't know why I'm so fascinated with the basing. I think my basing is always just so blah. Yeah, but this is the underside of the wing. I thought just how you just see the color variation flowing back and forth. I thought it was just gorgeous. So here's the big centerpiece model, and then the High Elf army built around it. So again, I think the High Elf army, not just are they well painted individually, but overall they give this effect that's very high elfy. It's almost ethereal, just in its overall feel. I really, really like this. This Phoenix Guard, he and I agree that we don't necessarily like the helmets that come with the Phoenix Guard, so we just did a head swap with Wood Elves, and I thought the effect was just fantastic. I think that's exactly what Phoenix Guard might look like. Yeah, nice job on those. Dragon Princes. This picture doesn't do it justice. He actually has two banners here. There's one you can see in the far right, kind of bluish. I'll show a close up on that in just a second. And the one just kind of blocking that a little bit is I forget where he got it, but it's kind of a flame, a banner made of flame, and it's hard to see because it's kind of whitish, and everything, the horses and everything else is kind of whitish. You can't see it, which is a shame. But very, very nice. You can see both banners with a little more detail here. And again, I look at the free hand on the back banner, and I'm like, well, that's the kind of thing that I'm never going to be able to do in my models, and I'm okay with that. If I go to tournaments and people like Gabe are beating my painting score because of freehand work, I okay. I think there's some techniques mortals like me might be able to learn, but that I think is beyond me. Here's some silver helms. Normally I would think I would never say paint white on white. White horses and a lot of white in the shields and armor and everything else. But he certainly, I think, made it work. Look at the basing here with those kind of the statues at the bottom. And then his reavers. Yeah, very nice. And again, I just like that angle for this dragon. I think those are Shadow Warriors, and they of course look very nice. But I love that. It looks like you're just about to get stomped by the dragon. And here's some more models from the High Elf book. Some spellcasters I thought were very, very nicely done. I think I took a few pictures of this guy because I've painted. Well, you've seen what I've painted, and it's nowhere even close to this. Look at his staff at the very top. I've tried doing swirls and stuff like that, and yeah, doesn't come close. Yeah, very nicely done. And then the sky cutter. Oh my god. Oh my. I love this. One, he put a different base on there. He purposely made it like water. As this thing's flying over water. I thought it was a nice touch to angle it to give it a slightly different look, and I think it gives it more stability because I'm pretty sure he modeled it so that the eagle's wing is actually dipping in the water like he's playing in the water, but it also allows him to secure that down so that everything's more stable. And then even in addition to a beautiful paint job, just angling everything so it's veering, I think gives it a very, very nice effect, makes it stand out. Yeah. And he uses airbrush as well as physical brushes in all his painting. I think the airbrush he mainly uses for base coating. So this is a model he had that I assume was 40K or something because it's on the round base, but it's certainly he might just slap it on a square base and use it if the Tyrian avatar of Cain would make just an absolutely fantastic model for that if he wanted to go that route. Look at this thing. Beautiful model. Amazingly painted. And then yet another dragon. Was this number 3 dragon on his list? This looks more like a chaos dragon with the head split. Just a beautiful, beautiful model. And the attention that he put into this thing is just amazing to me. Even like the house, look at the base. There's a house in the background. There's something he's crunching underfoot. And then again, the color variation. I love the subcutaneous stuff. So the green looks like it's almost like that Nurglish flesh. Underneath is that uh, red. Yeah, and then look at the saliva. Again, I never would have thunk it. But the saliva in the jaws of the dragon, very, very nice touch. I had to take a close up of the wing because again, I thought this is just such nice, just subtle stuff. I don't know. He can make a comment on this. I wonder if he looks at this and he says, "Yeah, that wasn't hard to do." But I look at that and say, "Yeah, but who thinks of doing that?" There's just the subtle color variations. Obviously, I'm in love with this model. I think it's just absolutely gorgeous. And then look at the belly. The belly, it's got a mouth coming out, and then he does saliva there as well. Oh my gosh. Okay, I've got to move on. The thing's just gorgeous. So this is a little bit of a blurry picture. This isn't his whole Chaos Warriors army, but some of the things that he would put into it. And I don't have close-ups of every model in here, but you can see this Nurgle-themed unit. Just, yeah, just nice. Yeah. I don't have much to say about it. I mean, just everything about it. I love, even if you look at the swords, how it's, again, they're rusty. They're greenish in places. The the viscera, the Nurgle rot, all of it, just nice. Some dragon ogres. These are so much better than the old dragon ogre models. The only kind I have. But again, so now we have the Throg leading it. I think I have some close-ups of Throg coming up in just a second. There's some other characters. I think I have some close-ups of them. Yeah, and there's just, again, look at the banner. It's gorgeous all the way around. All right, so now I think we have some close-ups. Yeah, so here's some close-ups of Throg. Yeah. And again, a lot of work on the base. Patched together. Yeah, very nicely done. And some of the other guys, I have no idea what these models are. But again, a lot of love into them. And I think that's just a close-up of one of his rank and file guys I just thought was so nice. He's carrying a chimney behind him. And then he has an ogre army too. I obviously didn't take a lot of pictures of his ogre army. I did think his man-eaters are pretty cool. Not his man-eaters, his Mournfang were pretty cool. There's a lot of attention to detail. Again, with the one banner, that's getting to a level of artwork that I wouldn't be capable of. But even the things that where this, yeah, there's some things where I might have the skill to be able to do, but I just don't have the artist's eye to think, and the creativity to think of doing them. Yeah, so one more at the banner. Yeah, and again, look at the basing too. And then, yeah, look at this dude. I assume that's got to be his Ogre's BSB. Look at all the detail. I mean, that that had to be fun to put together. Little bits and bobs from different armies. Nice crossing swords in the back. Yeah, nicely done on that. Other standard bearers. And then my last few pictures here are obviously not fantasy stuff. They're 40K. But there were just some techniques used that I thought were just gorgeous. I mean, I've tried in the past to paint gems. I could never get them to look right, and these look perfect. Just absolutely gorgeous. But not just the gems. I mean, just the a way of taking large areas that would normally just be flat, and then using paint to give it kind of a different look, more of a three-dimensional look. And here has this model hiding behind. It's sculpted such that it's hiding behind a statue, which I thought was very creative. So there you can't see the statue because it's to its back. But again, Nice subtle effects. A lot of attention to detail on that. Yeah, there's the front of that statue all shot up and stuff. Just a lot of thinking behind it. Yeah, and so I'll end with that one. I thought it was a nice little angle. So yeah, no real point here except just to showcase some beautifully painted models. Um, yeah, I hope to be able to find more people that I can do this for and with, just to contribute to this side of the hobby. But there's the eye candy for today. Hope you enjoyed it.